Hello, and welcome to 5 Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Readiness Practice resource for 3.3H comparing fractions. This is the intermediate version. If you're interested in looking at the proficient or advanced versions for 3.3H or the resources for any other standard, you can do so by using the link in the video description. So our first comparing fractions problem asks us to imagine that we have two pizzas of the same size. So let's go ahead and just say they're going to be circular pizzas. So I want to draw one circular pizza there, and I'm going to try to draw another circular pizza that's, the same size. So let's pretend those two are the same size. So pizza 1 is cut into 4 equal slices. All right, that seems pretty easy. Let's make one slice, two slices. When we have these two long slices that actually cut the pizza in half in both directions, that gives us 4 equal slices. So we cut a vertical, we cut a horizontal, and that gets us 4 equal slices. And let's do the other one. We're going to do 8 equal slices. Now, I find the easiest way to make eighths is to start that same way. We're going to cut it completely across horizontally, cut it completely across vertically. That gets us our same 4 slices. And now what we're going to do is we are going to cut each of those 4 slices in half, and I've got 8 equal slices. Now, you eat one slice from each pizza. All right, so let's say that we are eating this slice right here, and we are eating this slice right here. And we can even name those slices, right? This is 1/4, this is 1/8. So which pizza slice is bigger? Explain your answer using words and a picture. Well, I've got the picture, so the picture definitely helps, right? And I can say that I can even put that symbol there if I want to. Now, how do we explain this with words? So I will say one slice from the pizza cut into fourths. That's how I'm going to show which pizza I'm talking about. And I'm going to say is larger than. You could say is greater than the pizza. Let's talk about the other one. Cut into eighths because it's 8 equal slices. So that gets me my answer, but I need to explain my answer because fourths are larger than eighths. Now here's the crazy thing we learn when we really start working with fractions is that the larger the denominator, the smaller the slices are going to be. So if I take a pizza and I cut it in half, that's 1/2. Look how big those pieces are. And then I cut my half in half. Now I've got 1/4. My denominator gets larger, my slices get smaller. And then I go to 1/8. My denominator is really large now. Look how tiny those slices are. And if you keep going, pretty soon you don't have much of a pizza left because your 16ths are just thin. You can't even get a full pepperoni on that. And so that's something that we learn is that as the slices get more and more, as the denominator gets larger, the actual slices, the pieces themselves, get smaller and smaller. Now, that's just how I represented this. Your answers and your models may vary. You might have a different picture, and you might have a different answer, but this is how I would describe our first problem. Number 2, Enrique has a rectangle shaded to represent the fraction 2/8. We see it right there. He wants to draw another rectangle of the same size and represent a fraction greater than 2/8. What are 3 different ways to represent a fraction greater than 2/8? Okay, use pictures and symbols. All right, so let's do this. Let's make some rectangles. All right, so I'm going to make a rectangle like this. Then I'm going to try to make 2 others, and we'll just pretend they're all the same size. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so that's 2/8. He wants to draw another rectangle, same size, and represent a fraction greater than 2/8. Well, there are some easy ways to do this, right? So I'm going to make this eighths just like Enrique had. But watch. All I need to do, so this is going to match what he has, right? All I need to do is shade in one more, and now I've got 3/8. So I can say 3/8 is greater than 2/8. I could also just keep going. Here's my 1/8, my 2/8. I'm just going to shade it in like this. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4/8. So I'm going to say 4/8 is greater than 2/8. And you see, you could shade in the entire thing if you wanted to. I'll shade in most. I'm not going to shade in the entire thing. I'll shade in 7/8. I'm going to start with Enrique's 2/8. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shade in every other square except for one. I'll leave it towards not a complete whole. Shade it in like this. And so obviously these are going to be greater than 2/8 because I keep shading in more and more. So that's one way to answer this, but there are definitely different ways that you can answer this. But we'll say 7/8 is greater than 2/8. So I've got my pictures, and then I've got my symbols. I'm using that greater than symbol each time, and you can see that each of these pictures that I drew has more shaded than Enrique. And so I will say that your models and answers, you can do different fractions than I chose, may vary. It's pretty simple when you have a denominator and you can just keep that same denominator. You can just add more and more and more. All right, so let's look at our third one. Jamila has two circles that are the same size. All right, so let's give her two circles. Let's say they are the same size. All right, so Jamila has these two circles that are the same size. There we go. She divides each circle into the same number of equal parts. If she shades two parts of one circle, one part of another circle, explain how she knows which circle is more shaded in. It doesn't tell me how many parts to have. One circle needs to have two parts shaded in, another one needs to have one part. So we at least need to have more than two parts. So let's just make it easy. Let's just make each part the same size. Let's make 4 equal parts for each circle. All right, so these are both going to be fourths. Now, it says one circle has two parts, so let's just do this 2 right here. That's 1. That's 2. And then another part just has 1. All right, so we need to know which one has more shaded in. Well, the 2/4 is going to be greater than that 1/4, but we need to explain how she knows. So I've got my picture, but let's put words in here. So I can say if the parts are equal, so in this case, you have to have equal parts. So I had fourths. Both circles were broken up into the exact same size, 4 equal parts. If the parts are equal, then the circle with more parts shaded in. So we're going to say the circle with more parts shaded in will represent the greater fraction. Because what we're doing is we're looking at that point, if the denominators are the same, we are looking at and comparing what our numerators are, and 2 is greater than 1. So that's one way to explain it. Your answers might be different than mine, so I'll go ahead and put this down here. Your answers or your models might be different than mine, but this is the intermediate version of 3.3H. If you're interested in the proficient or the advanced version for 3.3H, or looking at other readiness resources that I have available, you can do so by using the link in the video description.